Hello there and happy Friday, day after Thanksgiving. I hope you had a wonderful holiday. I want to give you a powerful tool this week that will help you build your business. I'm Mike Molina, and this is the Mortgage Edge for Friday, November 25th, 2022. This week, I want to share with you a powerful tool called Then versus Now. It compares the real estate market and buying in the real estate market to a period of time earlier this year. I'm going to use March to current day and show how actually buyers will save money by buying now, even with the higher interest rates. This is an amazing tool. It gives every buyer an incredible aha. It'll probably even give you an aha. So it does require some assumptions and some finesse, so to speak. But I think that we're all capable of making some good rational assumptions based on what we all know about the market. So here we go. So right here, you can put in a marker if you want, ABC, 123, an actual property address, and create as many of these as you would like for a client. I'm going to compare this to March of this year to right now. All right. So if we look at a home, let's say a $500,000 property, that was listed back in March of this year, what would that property be listed for right now in current day? Probably conservatively speaking, we could say 470, 480. I'm going to go more conservative and say $480,000. Okay. We have back in March, we have 8 to 12 offers. Now we have 1 to 2 that we're competing with. How much would we have to offer over list back in March? Well, some numbers I heard were quite ridiculous, 50,000, 100,000, but we want to keep this as conservative as we can to maximize the aha on our client. So amount offer over list, I'm going to go very conservative and say 25,000. Okay. Now, right now, things are going for at list, maybe slightly under list. Sometimes I've seen them significantly under list, but we're going to stay on the conservative track here and just say 5,000 below list. I don't want to get overly optimistic and paint a picture too rosy that people won't believe. All right. So this gives us our final sales prices. So for the same property in March of this year, we would be looking at a final price of 525 versus now probably about 475. Okay. So if we, as we know, there was a lot of problems with appraisals back in earlier this year. So again, we have to be arbitrary here. If we assume that the appraised value came in low, we can't be sure, but let's say it came in 10 grand low. So we're going to say that it appraised for $510,000. I think that's a reasonable thing to say. All right. And right here, we should expect properties to appraise for whatever price we come to. Whatever you do when you put in this box, don't assume an appraised value above this final price because it'll screw it up. And that doesn't represent how loans work anyway. You can't, value is the lower of the contract price or the appraised value. So never exceed the final price, whatever you come up with in the upper line there. All right. So down payment, you can pick anything you want, 5%, 10%, 15, 20. Let's split the baby and call it 10%. Okay. So, and then all these numbers get filled in for you, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. We're going to pop down to here and compare rates. So back in March, rates were around 3.5 to 3 3/4. And right now, although rates have dropped quite a bit, now we're down to around 6 1/4 to 6.5. We'll just say 6.5. Again, I want to be conservative. All right. So now we have a lot of information. So cash to close over here, we have a down payment, plus we have to make up for the low appraisal. Okay. And we have closing costs, of course. So total funds to close, $75,000 back in March. For the same house now, the down payment is $47,500. That's just 10% of the sales price. We're not offering over the list price, and we're not making up a short appraisal and closing costs. So 56 versus 75. So about 19, 20 grand difference right there. Here we have the payment difference. So yes, the payment is $506 higher, $507 higher now than it would be then. And that's what buyers are going to focus on, but they need to focus on what they're actually putting in out of pocket. So let's go down to here. So let's talk about the savings and get our aha moment for our buyer. All right. So we have two types of savings. We have day one savings, which means the amount of cash literally out of pocket that a buyer is not going to have to bring because they're buying now. Okay. And we have acquisition savings, which is simply the amount of money saved on the purchase price of the home. We're going to go through that. So day one savings, they're saving $3,500 because the same 10% down payment, but 10% on a lower sales price, which is $3,500 less. So they save that. Cash over appraised value. Well, the appraised value is not below the sales price now, as it would have been back in March. So we're not having to pay that $15,000 over appraised value that we would have back earlier in the year. And seller paid closing costs. Well, I'm seeing all sorts of things right now fly across the market, and nothing seems to be unreasonable. Remember, we can't have the seller paid closing costs exceed the total cost. So we're going to put in just $9,000 and call it good. So our buyer is going to save $27,500 cash out of pocket by buying now as opposed to buying earlier. Plus, the sales price is $50,000 less than they otherwise would have had to pay due to the fact that they didn't have to offer over, and homes are being listed lower, and there's no shortage of appraisal. So we have a payment that is $507 higher, but why is that not so bad? Well, if you look at it like this, if we divide the amount of the higher monthly payment into the day one savings, it would take 4.5 years just to break even with that number, meaning that it'll be 4.5 years before they even start to go in the hole. And we know rates are coming down next year and people will be able to refinance. And by the way, this form does not take into account any 2-1 buy down or anything else that you may be doing. This is just assuming a straight 30-year fixed. So you can show this to the buyer. Look, you're going to have 4.5 years before you even start to go in the hole. Okay, this is an amazing thing. When you look at the fact that they're saving $27,500 net out of pocket plus $50,000 in acquisition costs, that means they're saving $77,500. If that is not an aha moment, I don't know what is. Now, what else can we do? Well, we can take the money that they're saving, and that's that $27,500, $77,500, and put that money into some interest-bearing account. There's all sorts of different things that people can invest in right now. 6% is very, very modest. So if you put that in, they're actually making money on all the money that they saved. This is just presented correctly. There's no way a buyer cannot have an aha moment and not realize that buying now literally saves them tens of thousands of dollars over buying earlier in the year, because so many people are like, oh man, if only. No, we got to change the narrative and help them understand it's a good thing that they didn't buy, because now they can buy for cheaper. Okay, they'll get a higher rate, but as we keep saying in the mortgage industry, marry the house, date the rate. They'll refinance next year. No investor is giving out a loan right now that they know they're not going to have to refinance in the next 6 to 12 months. Okay, and they will save tens of thousands of dollars. There is your aha moment, and if you present that correctly, your buyers will get off the fence and see that now is absolutely the best time to buy real estate. Well, I hope that's helpful, and I hope that I gave you an aha moment. But if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me anytime. I'm always happy to help and walk you through the sheet again if you like. And thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like and share, and have a wonderful day.